entire cabinet is a bunch of pathological liars. Let me explain to that why I said that.
Please explain to us.
First and foremost, when we were facing the vaccine shortages, Covaxin was supposed to be a Modi vaccine. It was projected like that.
Oh my
Without
God.
the WHO emergency use approval.
My God. We are back to square one. We just had a debate. We just were talking about creating vaccine hesitancy, and Mr. Kamruzaman Chaudhary, you are back to using phrases like Modi vaccine.
Banned vaccines now, right
Mr.
now.
Kamruzaman Chaudhary, did you get vaccinated? Mr. Kamruzaman Chaudhary, let me ask you, did you get vaccinated?
Covaxin.
Did you get vaccinated, Mr. Kamruzaman Chaudhary?
Why not?
So was it a Modi vaccine that you took?
Vaccinated through Covishield.
Was it a Modi vaccine that you took?
Suspect.
Was it a Modi vaccine that you took, sir?
It was projected by Sanju Verma's
Was it a Modi vaccine?
That Covaxin was supposed to be a Modi vaccine.
Sir, it was projected by Mr. Akhilesh Yadav of the Samajwadi Party. He called it a BJP vaccine.
When we were facing shortages of
I am amazed, Mr. Kamruzaman Chaudhary.
The Modi government refused to give.
I am amazed because this is the very charge that was being made by other opposition parties, and now you're putting the hat on Sanju Verma. Sanju Verma, please respond to him. The BJP projected it as Modi's vaccine. The opposition did not. That is Mr. Chaudhary's comment. Please respond to it.
Okay, once 10 seconds.
Okay, Mr. Chaudhary, I did not tell you. Please hold
Let us respond now, sir. You have made a series of extremely controversial statements. Now please listen to the response. I gave you your time, Mr. Kamruzaman Chaudhary. Now please listen to the response.
Madhav, before responding to Kamruzaman Chaudhary,
anyhow,
let me. Okay, Mr. Chaudhary, I did not heckle you. Thank you. I just want to read out from a tweet by P. Chidambaram on the 27th of December 2021. People are surprised that only 3 vaccines have been made available in India: Covishield, Covaxin and Sputnik. Of the 3, you can write off Sputnik because only a small quantity was imported by the government in the initial days. I fail to understand why the Modi government is not importing Pfizer in large quantities. This is the statement on Twitter on 27th December 2021.
No, that's a wrong. He did not mention Pfizer. He mentioned other vaccines. That is a lie. That's why I call this bunch of pathological liars.
He knows nothing.
Sir, I'm reading out. Mr. Kamruzaman Chaudhary, will you give me a moment?
Why are the
Let me read out a TOI report. This is a Times of India report that a research team has brought out. And I'm reading a quote. One second, Sanju, I'm coming to you. I'm just setting the record straight. I'm not getting into this debate. But Kamruzaman Chaudhary, let's not play with facts here, please. These are statements which are matter of public record. Nobody can play around with these. These are news reports from the time. I'm quoting the date even. It is the 27th of December 2021. Let me read out the entire quote. I just read a small excerpt because I didn't want to take time. But let me read out the entire quote. Which is the booster dose for Covishield? Not another dose of Covishield. I hope the chickens have come home to roost. We're paying the price for delayed orders, delayed payment, non-licensing of Pfizer and Moderna, and insufficient production and supply. People are surprised that only 3 vaccines have been made available in India: Covishield, Covaxin and Sputnik. Of the 3, you can write off Sputnik because only a small quantity was imported in the initial days. We're left with 2 vaccines thanks to the protectionist policy of the Modi government. Pfizer, Moderna and other WHO-approved vaccines are kept out of India on one pretext or the other, which is why we don't have enough vaccines to administer 2 doses to the 94 crore adult population. Kamruzaman Chaudhary, this is the quote. I've read it out verbatim.
Does he advocate Pfizer only? No, Madhav.
But Pfizer is the one that's in controversy now, Mr. Kamruzaman Chaudhary. Moderna is not in controversy. That is why we are raising this.
Use of Pfizer only.
No, but that is the point. Wasn't that a wise decision? Pfizer was the one which was trying to arm twist our government. Pfizer is the vaccine that was in the midst of controversy in Europe. So why should this issue not be raised? What is factually wrong in this?
No, only the Pfizer. Why Moderna issue? Listen, Madhav.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kamruzaman Chaudhary. Now you're just trying to scratch through the details. You don't have a strong point tonight. I'm going to allow Sanju Verma to respond to you and then I go across to other panelists. Sanju Verma.
Okay. Madhav, may I please? Fine. Madhav, let's be very clear. From the day COVID pandemic struck, the opposition trained its guns on Prime Minister Modi. As I keep saying, Modi विरोध करते करते कब ये लोग देश विरोध करने लगे? These people are so clueless. And I'll tell you what. I remember at the peak of COVID second wave, I used to be there on your channel on Times Now every single day, and I said, that, by early 2022 or maybe late 2021, the entire adult population of India of 94 crore people will be fully vaccinated. And in 18 months, a country of 140 crore people with 94 crore adults carried out the world's largest and world's fastest vaccination drive in flat 18 months. What did Bhupesh Baghel of Chhattisgarh say? मैं कोवैक्सीन नहीं लगाऊंगा. He said ये तो बीजेपी की वैक्सीन है.
Okay.
What did Ashok Gehlot say? He also showed reluctance. Rajasthan had the highest vaccine wastage rate. Which state?
In fact, Arvind Kejriwal and several other leaders, and there were several national leaders who in fact tried to say that they would themselves negotiate. Shadu Arvind, let me come in now and bring in Huda Zariwala, because Huda Zariwala, Mr. Kejriwal was amongst those leaders who said that give us permission, we'll go and deal with these companies, and then of course all these leaders had to beat a very hasty retreat. And what did Mr. Kejriwal say? I'm just quoting verbatim from what he said. Please respond to this. He says that we need vaccines. Center talked to Moderna. Pfizer completed negotiations within 2-3 days. Why can't it talk again to companies and complete negotiations in 3-4 days? Why is it not being done urgently? Bharat Biotech, which is manufacturing Covaxin, is willing to share its formula with everyone. And so many companies can produce Covaxin. Of them, Bharat Biotech has struck a deal with only so many companies. The question that we are raising is this, that at that point of time, pressure was being built up by even Mr. Kejriwal. It's not just about the Congress party. There were several political leaders in their whatever interest of politics or what have you, or showing the center in bad light. I'm not going to get into the reasons for it, but the point is that pressure was being built on to bring the Pfizer vaccine in. And look at what's happened in Europe. Look at what's happening globally. The controversy surrounding Pfizer.
Well, good evening, Madhavji. Before I quote, on what the Arvind Kejriwal government was trying to do, let's not forget this is the BJP, which was only trying to export the vaccines. I mean, in fact, it was an official statement by the BJP that 84% COVID vaccines were exported as part of commercial licensing liabilities. So to begin with, BJP was never really concerned about the tons of people in India to be vaccinated as early as possible. I mean, this is the same government that was, all out sending vaccinations to other neighboring countries. And then later, way later during the stages, the government, after, a lot of pressure from the opposition, from the media, from other such sources, realized that no, it is the Indian government, our people, our population that needs to be vaccinated. So let us not forget that BJP was more concerned on, building up their bank balances, on building up the, filling their own pockets.
That doesn't answer the question I asked you. That does not answer the question I asked you, Huda Zariwala.
No,
but I'm going to allow Karan Verma to respond to that. One by one, please. I'm going to allow panelists who have not yet spoken. Karan Verma, is that borne out by fact that the center was allowing for... Huda Zariwala, you made a point. Listening to the response now. Karan Verma, the question from Huda Zariwala is this, that the center was more worried about fulfilling international commitments than vaccinating the citizens of India. That's a direct charge that opposition had made then as well, and that's a charge that's being repeated today. Please respond to that.
We can always, hindsight is 20/20, we can always say that the vaccine program could have begun faster, could have gotten off the heels quicker. But what did Arvind Kejriwal do at that time? Madhav, do you remember? Give the formula to everyone. He was treating this as a formula. I mean, the heights of carelessness by the opposition with their rhetoric at that time, and imagine being Narendra Modi at that time. He showed nerves of steel when everyone, and including Pfizer, Moderna, they were all trying to bully. They refused bridge trials first. First they refused bridge trials, then they wanted indemnity clauses. I mean, heights of bullying by the pharma companies. Let me complete. Please let me complete.
I think the only thing...
Madhav, the problem with us is...
I'm coming to you, let him respond. I'm coming to you, Huda Zariwala.
We become economists.
I'm coming to you, let him respond.
Every time there is a pandemic, we become microbiologists. And every time there is a Joshi Mart, we become environmentalists. The truth of the matter is, hashtag died suddenly. You will see today the far-reaching effects that mRNA vaccines, which my good friend Lokesh was advocating, it is having some serious consequences as far as myocarditis is concerned. Today the fact is that Covaxin has had 1/30th the side effects that mRNA vaccines have had, and that was always feared. Pfizer always knew that this can happen, which is why they wanted the indemnity clause. Their intention was flawed. Homegrown vaccines of India, they never asked for an indemnity clause.
That's an important point.
Because their intention was serving the people. They had their heart at the right place. Today, the opposition stands
I think that's the
exposed.
crux of the
All
debate.
these
The crux of the debate, Huda Zariwala, is this. Karan, you made an important point. Let her respond to that.
And nobody
Excuse me. Huda Zariwala, important point being made by Karan. I'm coming back to you, please. One at a time. One at a time. Huda Zariwala and Karan Verma, let me come in now. I'm going to ask a question. Karan, you made a very important point. I want Huda to respond to this point. Huda Zariwala, end of the day, the question and the moot point is this. I think at the root of this entire debate is the question of indemnity. Here is a foreign company that wanted to come into India to sell its vaccines that we don't even know at what price they wanted to sell to India, but they wanted something that even Indian companies had not been granted by the government of India, and that is the clause of indemnity. What would have happened if, say, there were serious health side effects on citizens of India? God forbid that had happened if Pfizer had been administered to them. We wouldn't even have been able to take legal action. At least that's something that we were not reduced to.
But then do you really think that the credit goes entirely to the central or the BJP government? No, I mean,
then who does it go to?
They were only
then who does it go to?
They were only concerned about filling their pockets. If they were
who does it go to, madam?
The citizens of India.
Please tell us who it goes to.
Concerned about filling their pockets.
You saying this credit does not go to the center. Who took the decision?
If they were,
did Mr. Kejriwal take the decision? Did Ms. Mamata Banerjee take the decision? Did Mr. Pinarayi Vijayan take the decision?
They're not in a position to take the decision. I agree.
But I am amazed at this argument.
So you give the credit to the Prime Minister.
Did the Prime Minister hold back on the indemnity clause because he was aware of the repercussions? Absolutely not. Do you really think that the BJP government...
What else does indemnity mean? Ma'am, what do you understand by indemnity? Please tell me. What do you understand by indemnity?
One second.
No, what do you understand by indemnity? What else does it do?
I obviously have an excessive understanding of how the indemnity clause works, but let's not forget that the BJP government did not have its heart at the right place. They were more concerned about filling their pockets. The Serum Institute was given the charge of making the vaccinations available to the citizens of India, and we all saw how that ended. So let us not forget that this story has come now to the
absolute gibberish with no data.
Madam, are you aware of how many vaccinations have happened in India? Are you aware, Huda Zariwala, that India is a country that by a mile has vaccinated more citizens than any other country?
Yes. And when did
Look at what's happening in China, where a fake vaccine was certified by the WHO and citizens are still reeling under the side effects of it, Huda Zariwala. What is the issue here?
Do you really think that we took on to the vaccination?
I want to bring in Dr. Rajiv Dasgupta because there are too many facts that are still under dispute, Dr. Rajiv Dasgupta. It's mind-boggling to see Dr. Rajiv Dasgupta. Yeah, I'm coming to you. Sanjay, I just want the doctor to come in because he has a medical perspective. All right, I think we've lost that line with Dr. Dasgupta. Sanjay Verma, your response.
Okay. Madhav, I believe that numbers never lie. I will just give you some data which shows how the Modi government, especially I applaud Prime Minister Narendra Modi for doing what he did, despite the entire left-wing academia, media, big pharma, training their guns at him. Let me tell you, how much is the population of Delhi? About 2.3 crore. How many people died in Delhi of COVID? Madhav, I refuse to debate if you can't mute this lady.
Okay, one at a time. Huda Zariwala, you've made a number of points. Please listen to the response. You've asked some questions. Let Sanju Verma respond to you. Sanju Verma.
Okay. What is the population of Delhi? About 2.3 crore people. The deaths in Delhi, 71,570. And health is a state subject. What is the population of Uttar Pradesh? More than 22 crore people. Number of deaths, 23,634. What is the population of Kerala? About 3.5 crore. Number of deaths, again more than 77,000. What is the population of Maharashtra? Population of Maharashtra is roughly 10 crore. And that time Congress was ruling along with Shiv Sena and NCP. You know how many people died in Maharashtra?
Alright, let me bring in Dr. Rajiv Dasgupta. Sanju Verma, I just want to bring in Dr. Rajiv Dasgupta and a couple of the medical points that were made. I want Dr. Rajiv Dasgupta to just come in on that and set the record straight, because there are several questions, Dr. Rajiv Dasgupta, that I find amazing that we are still disputing in today's day and age. There are questions from who gets the credit to actually taking this decision, which government is it, what kind of vaccination program we had, whether our vaccines were actually effective, our vaccine companies actually delivered. We are still several years down the line, debating the efficacy of our entire vaccination program. Would you like to enlighten our viewers to the points that have been made by some of the panelists in the last few minutes? Dr. Dasgupta.
Well, as far as the points made by the panelists are concerned, I shall seek to address as much as I could hear, given that there were multiple voices and I was losing the audio patch at times. The point is that vaccine markets are extremely complex markets. They are not comparable to other medicines where you can just hold a tender and buy the lowest bidder and so on and so forth. Most state governments actually have a whole lot of experience in buying medicines and other pharmaceutical products. Vaccine purchase has remained, at least in the Indian context, almost entirely the realm of the central government. Plus the fact that almost as a rule, these are global players, and vaccination programs are part of the global public health agenda or global public health good. So everything taken together, the decision on developing vaccines, on procuring vaccines, on vaccine logistics, as well as the vaccination program has been almost as a rule the domain of the central government. And of course, this is not to say that the state governments or the local bodies are not partners. Of course, they are partners, but they are largely on the implementation side of things.
Right.
Not on the aspects that we are discussing.
Right.
And therefore, the central government did have an immense responsibility of making these decisions and making it work. Also, let us grant in all humility that this is a pandemic situation where a whole lot of learning and unlearning happens every day.
Okay.
There are no absolute positions, and that all of us should accept with due humility.
With each wave, the way the variant behaved, all of that changed a lot of our own knowledge and understanding of how COVID is actually spreading. Dr. Dasgupta, but one last question, because this is a point that is repeatedly coming up in response to this entire debate, though I personally think that there are two separate debates when it comes to indemnity, but the entire argument of opposition appears to be that vaccines were in shortage, we were only putting pressure on the government. Now, the fact that the government did not succumb to Pfizer is of course laudable, but is it not a fact that perhaps there was some lack of planning or lack of oversight in terms of the actual planning for the vaccines that had to be deployed for our vaccination program? Dr. Dasgupta.
If I got your question correctly, are you asking that whether there was adequate planning?
Yes, for the vaccines, because there appeared to be a shortage is what opposition parties are repeatedly saying.
Of course, there was abundant planning. Of course, in such a large country, the vaccination logistics is extremely complex. Of course, a priority strategy or prioritization strategy or mechanism had to be done. Now, having said that, are there or can there have been gaps in implementation? Yes, this is a very complex program. There would be last mile gaps. As I said, every day we were learning and unlearning. Every day we were correcting things. Of course, let's not engage in any triumphalism either. We have to take this pandemic experience with due humility.
All right. I think that's a very, very important message going out, and I think that's a message for all. Ultimately, any kind of one-upmanship on such important matters of public policy, particularly when it comes to public health, is something that should be avoided.